Good evening, Democrats. I'm Lauren Calmet, political director here at the Florida Democratic Party. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first ever Meet the Candidates. Today's inaugural episode will be featuring some of our incredible Democratic candidates from East Central Florida. These Meet the Candidates programs will be happening every Tuesday and Thursday from now until Election Day. Thank you so much to all of our candidates for joining us this evening. We are thrilled to have you. Today's first set of candidates includes Patricia Sigmund in Senate District 9, Patrick Henry in House District 26, and Pasha Baker in House District 28. Let's bring our candidates on screen. Great. So let's start off with our candidate for Florida Senate. Patricia, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are incredibly excited to have you on our team. Could you please introduce yourself and share with us a little bit about what inspired you to run?
Absolutely, and thank you very much for having me today. I am Patricia Sigman. I am a mother and wife. I am a small business owner, a voter protection leader, and a labor and employment lawyer. And for over 25 years, I've been standing up and fighting for people right here in Senate District 9 who've been mistreated because of their age or race or sex or disability, people who've been denied their unemployment benefits, whistleblowers fired for doing the right thing, people who were sexually harassed or abused, and more. And through it all, what I've really been doing is standing up and fighting for the people over the powerful. And I'm running for Florida Senate District 9 because it's time our government put the people first in the workplace, in the classroom, in the hospital waiting room, in the halls of our Capitol, and the laws we make there. The people need to be put first, and they haven't been. So I'm running to take all of my experience and fight to the Florida Senate and fight for the people.
Thank you so much. And I'll ask you a broad question, which I'm sure that you have many different answers to. What are some things that you hope to accomplish if elected to the Florida Senate?
Well, putting the people first means things like we must expand Medicaid. It will insure over 800,000 Floridians who aren't currently insured, bring thousands of good-paying healthcare jobs to Florida, bring $14.2 billion to Florida over 5 years at a cost of a fraction. And it will help stabilize health insurance premiums for those who have insurance. And with all of that, it should have been done a long time ago. And my Republican opponent, Jason Broder, voted against Medicaid expansion, and we need to get it for the people. And in the times of coronavirus, it's obviously more important than ever. The jobs, the economics, and the healthcare, let's do that. We need to fully fund our public schools. And for too long, so many billions of dollars have been flowing out of our public schools into for-profit corporate schools. And we have to stop that. Our children need and deserve a first-class education. We have to invest in our students and the educators who educate them. And we need to protect our environment. We have clean water to protect. And my Republican opponent voted to allow fracking in Florida, which jeopardizes our water. So gun violence prevention, criminal justice reform, fixing this broken and gutted unemployment system that my Republican opponent voted to break when he was in the Florida House in 2011. It is a cruel and awful system that is hurting people right now, every day. And I've been fighting for people to get their unemployment benefits for 25 years. I know what we need to do to fix it. So we have all of these things and more at the heart of putting the people first. And we need to support labor. We need to make people safe in the workplace. There's so much work to be done in addition to redistricting coming up, and we need to protect fair districts. And this seat and this win is crucial to making that happen. And getting us to 19 Democrats in the Florida Senate will be within just one of even. So it will be a really important moment.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Patricia. We're really cheering for you, and we're proud to call you a Democrat.
Thank you very much.
Next up, let's turn to Pasha, who is running for House District 26. Hi, Pasha. How are you?
I'm good, Lauren. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Pasha, you've said often how much representation matters for both environmental justice and fair districts. How would your election lead to politicians listening more to the will of the voters?
Definitely. Well, just like Patricia said, this is a time for fair districting. We have to remove the gerrymandering and boundaries from these hyper-partisan elections that we are having. For so long, it has been unfair, but that unfairness has led to environmental injustice, criminal injustice, a lot of things, the socioeconomic status, and allowing people to split the vote, making sure that people have less power instead of the power to the people. So making sure that we are fair when we draw these districts. We're not trying to do one side or the other. We just want to be fair. And that's something that we haven't had in the state of Florida in a very, very long time. So one of the things that would make our seats historic is because, one, for Patricia's seat, she's all over Seminole County. I'm the northeastern part of Seminole County. This will be the first time a woman represents these districts. And that's an underserved minority in this district. Two, Seminole County is now 51% women voters. We need to elect government that looks like the people from the government. That's important. That's important. And third, I would be the first person of color and first Black to hold this seat in Seminole County. It's 2020. Even though we are very happy about breaking those boundaries, it's still a sad moment that we still have to say first in 2020.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pasha. And of course, we all share your enthusiasm for everything that's at stake this election cycle.
Thank you. Pleasure to join y'all.
Thank you. Next up, let's turn to a friend of the Florida Democratic Party who is absolutely no stranger to the state legislature. Representative Henry, it's so great to see you.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Thank you. I understand you have a tourist-friendly district. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that the district has experienced due to COVID-19, and what is your plan to reopen safely?
So some of you may know or may not know, the challenges are really, really big. My brother happens to be the mayor of the city of Daytona Beach. So I play an important role in some decisions he makes. He plays an important role in some decisions I make. Understand that we are pretty much a service industry town, and what we are good at is hosting big events. But since COVID's been around, big events went away, and so the economy has suffered tremendously. For example, Bike Week, Biketoberfest, and those type of events. So at some point, we have to find a balance where we can balance events and how we open up our city and the economy, because both are equally important. So many people have suffered here because we are a service industry. Understand that we have hotels up and down the beach who's been vacant or half empty for months. So those people were without jobs. They didn't have work to do. And then it took so long with the unemployment system some of them still have not gotten unemployment. And keep in mind that if Amazon can process millions of packages every day, the state of Florida can't not process people unemployment compensation. Come on, let's be for real. So, we're really in a bad position here in Volusia County when it comes to the economy and what we're going to do. So what we're trying to do is lean more toward safety and health and open up as things improve.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being such a strong advocate. We've been hearing so much about our broken unemployment system, and we know that the three of you would be incredible advocates. And I hope to see the three of you in Tallahassee this spring. Thank you so much to this group of Democrats for joining us today. And next up, I have a group of two Democrats to introduce you to. We are going to hear from Tracy Kagan, running for House District 29, and Deborah Poole-Alien, running for Seminole County Supervisor of Elections. Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
So let's start off with Tracy. We'd love to hear from you first to address some issues that I know that you've been seeing in your community. So Central Florida, with its focused on tourism, your House district has been one of the places hit hardest regarding unemployment. What can you speak about on this issue, and what have you been doing to help small business owners in your community?
Well, first, let me say hello to everybody. Thanks for having me. I am very excited. We've got, I think, 57 days left to flip it blue and make it all blue. I'm running with a wonderful team of strong women, and we're going to take and change the face of Seminole County. So that's exciting. So let's put that on the shelf. Let me introduce myself to people that have never met me before. I'm a single mother. I have 3 daughters, 24, 19, and 15, all at different phases of their life. I'm a criminal defense attorney of 30 years, and I am very excited to get to Tallahassee to craft and make some good law. And I'm running because we don't have leadership, and we don't have leaders that got out in front of this pandemic that we're facing. And this pandemic has left us with a lot of mess. And what it has actually done is it's stripped away all the issues that are really facing Floridians, and it's put it under a microscope, right? So we have unemployment now that was crafted and passed by Rick Scott in 2011 and approved by my opponent, Scott Plankin. Scott Plankin is my opponent, and he's voted repeatedly over the 6 years he's been in office to defund public education, to deny access to public health care, to ruin and strip our natural environment, to destroy our rural boundary and our drinking water, and most proficiently was one of the architects of the unemployment law that we're all facing now, designed, intent to fail. Now that's very important to keep in mind. It was not designed to help people and lift them up. It was helped to keep them down and to prevent them from applying for unemployment. I, on the ground, have been accessible to my district even before being voted in. I advertise my cell phone number. I have people call me, and I pride myself on accessibility and transparency, and the fact that as a leader, I'm leading to serve the people of my district, not the corporate interests in my district, which my opponent has been running for. So I have been holding weekly town halls. We call it Tracy TV Live. And we focus on small business owners every week, a different small business owner in the district, to lift them up, to do a wellness check, to see how they've been affected, how we can help them, how we can direct them. And it's been a fabulous experience because not only is it good for them, it's good for me. I like to know and I like to listen what the issues are. And what I've heard is that my opponent is not accessible. He's not around. He's like a UFO sighting. And quite honestly, his interests are not the interests of his voters. So I'm inspired to run. Each and every morning I get up and I put on my big pants and I say, this is going to happen. We need to make it blue. We need to flip it blue because we do need people in government for the people. As cliche as it sounds, it couldn't be further from the truth. Our democracy has strayed so far that we're at a very risky phase in our government right now, and our leadership on our local level is in a very poor place. People don't realize, and I don't want to be facetious, I didn't know myself how important local politics affects us on a daily basis. Local politics affects, what teachers you're going to have in your classroom, how those teachers are going to be paid, whether you'll have a strong union, whether you'll have access to health care, whether there'll be a code red or code yellow in your child's school, whether your teachers are armed, whether your children receive guidance. It affects us on each and every level. I am not a woman of great means. I'm 58 years old. I'm just putting it out there. I still have a daughter in high school. And so I'm that sandwich generation. I have a mother who's 86 years old. So not only am I taking care of my children, I'm taking care of my mother. And the elderly have been left behind in this pandemic, and they have not been attended to. My mother's healthcare costs are very expensive on a regular basis. Our government in Tallahassee does not care. Each and every time given the opportunity to expand Medicaid, each and every time given the opportunity to do something, they have not. And the most insulting thing that I can say to this audience, and they know it, is that they had an opportunity to hold a special session and to get their tush back to Tallahassee and to create something. Now, I'm not saying I have all the answers, but it's their job to be that think tank. And they could have gone back to Tallahassee, all of them, and sat down and brainstormed on how to deal with the unemployment, how to deal with the access to health care, and how to deal with this growing fear. We have a lot of people in Seminole County that are going to bed without food, a lot of people that are living on the verge of being evicted. So there is some real issues there. And the irony that I find is that my opponent and his comrades and colleagues, their tax dollars their salaries are being paid by us. Mm-hmm. We're paying their salaries, and they have a health plan paid by us. So I think it's very insulting to their constituents to thumb their nose and not go back to Tallahassee and not assume a leadership position. Absolute crickets, absolute silence. So that's who I am. I know I speak the truth. I'm used to speaking in a courtroom. I'm used to advocating for thousands. And quite honestly, I feel incumbent upon me to get to Tallahassee to represent our district who sorely need good leadership. And I find myself surrounded by strong women who are also quite accomplished and ready to get there. And not to insult the men that are running, but in Seminole County, each and every position that's up for election in the Democratic seat is going to be run by a woman. There's a female candidate, except for one. Did I miss one? Okay, I'll get back there. But almost each and every one, and each and every one of us will break that glass ceiling. And, you know, I'm the mother of 3 daughters, and I think it's really important to have role models. And like Pasha said, it's 2020. Can we just deal with it and move on already? I don't care what color you are, what sex you are. Let's just get the job done. And so I'm Tracy Kagan. I'm running for House District 29. Sorry if I got on my little soapbox.
No, I love it. I mean, I
like to be real.
Totally. And I absolutely echo your frustration with the fact that every election cycle, there seems to be a lot of focus on absolutely top of the ticket, who's running for president, who's running for governor. And too frequently, a lot of folks miss further down ballot candidates, candidates running for municipal office, as well as the state legislature. Florida is a huge state, and those individuals who are elected to our state legislature have a lot of power over a lot of people. They make huge decisions that really impact the lives of Floridians. So
Warren, just to interrupt for 1 second, because that's what I do. I'm just saying the Republicans have held us hostage for the last 20 years with their vision, right? With their goals, right? There. And that's the key thing, not our goals, their goals. And most of them are backed by corporate donors. But I don't want to hog the time. I love Deb. I want to give her time to talk because she's brilliant. She has fabulous ideas to be the SOE Supervisor of Elections. She's a sharp woman. So I now give the floor to Deb.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Tracy.
We're
working hard for Seminole County.
We're especially excited to talk to you this election cycle because supervisors of election races have become increasingly talked about as voter protection has entered the conversation front and center this cycle. So to learn a little bit more about ballot access, I'll turn to you, Deborah, since you're running for supervisor of elections in Seminole County. So Deborah, you've been advocating for early voting on local campuses for a long time now. Can you give me a little bit of an update on what's been happening there?
Absolutely, yes. So as you said, I'm Deborah Poulalian. I'm running for supervisor of elections, Seminole County. And early voting on the college campus is what pushed me into running for office, because as a citizen, I started to go to the supervisor of elections, go to the college itself and say, look, the students want voting on campus. Other campuses in our area have early voting. Why not us? And I realized that it was the supervisor of elections who blocked us from every side. And I realized that there would never, ever be early voting at Seminole State College if there wasn't a change in the supervisor of elections. So I am a data analyst. I have a master's degree in mass communication. I work for a place called the Institute of Internal Auditors, which is as picky as it sounds. The supervisor of elections needs to be focused on the details, and I have the professional skills to do that. And I also have the passion to fight for access to voting. So the update for Seminole State College, after we were told all these reasons why they couldn't add an early voting site and it couldn't be Seminole State College, they decided to add an early voting site for the general election in November. Instead of Seminole State College, they picked a half-empty strip mall less than 2 miles away from an existing early voting location. Here in Seminole County, it's known as the Old Party City Store. So they told us that they couldn't have early voting at Seminole State College because it was too close to another early voting site. That was 4 miles away. This one's 2 miles away. They said they couldn't have early voting at Seminole State College because there wasn't continuity. They didn't have it during the primary. This one wasn't existing in the primary, and there will be no continuity because we're not going to stay in the Old Party City Store for year on year. And third, they said we couldn't have early voting at Seminole State College. It's too expensive. Who will handle the security? What about the facilities? This is an empty room. There's not a stick of furniture in it, and I don't know who's going to guard the half-empty strip mall. So the update is that we see where the allegiance lies. And we see that it's not about serving the voter. It is, I can't even imagine the logic behind this location. It's invisible and it's not productive.
Thank you, Deborah.
Voter suppression.
Yeah. So leaning kind of back into the direction that we were with Tracy, because she's right. Talking about contrast between two candidates is important. Deborah, can you tell us a little bit about what the difference is between you and your opponent in this race?
Yes. So like I mentioned, I have the professional skills for being supervisor of elections. It's a full-time job. I would have 14 full-time employees. During a general election year, the annual budget is over $3 million. So you need skills related to the role. And so as soon as my opponent was appointed, I looked up his professional background, and it is law enforcement, which is a noble background. He has skills I don't have. They have nothing to do with being supervisor of elections. And the other thing is he's really a part, hate to call it the good old boy network, but in Seminole County, it is alive and well, and there's some women involved too. But his previous job was working for Mr. Joel Greenberg, our past tax collector, probably one of the most corrupt and embarrassingly vile politicians to ever hold office in Florida. As you know, he's under federal charges for sex trafficking and stealing IDs. The person I'm running against was his chief investigations officer in 2017 and 2018 when all these things were happening. So I like to say we need a wave of integrity in Seminole County. We need people in office whose top priority is doing the job of the office. And that's what I'm running to be.
Absolutely. Well, you know what, Deborah, you are absolutely correct. Integrity really matters. And, I'll just speak for myself and say that I believe that strongly, and that's why I'm so excited to be speaking with both of you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We here at the Florida Democratic Party are absolutely cheering.
57 days left. You can press that button at kaganforflorida.com. Let's turn it blue. Flip it blue for Biden. That's what I say. Flip it all blue.
Thank you, Tracy and Deborah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Excellent. So our next group of dynamic Democrats includes Lynn Moira Dichter for Seminole County Tax Collector, Kay Mirage for Palm Bay Mayor, and Sanjay Patel for Brevard County Commission District 3. Let's bring our Democrats on stage. Hello, Democrats. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't we start off with Lynn? So, do you prefer Lynn or Lynn Moira?
I answer to either one, anytime at all. Either one. Lynn's fine.
All right. So let's start off with you. And of course, I'm looking forward to speaking with you. I'm sure you had listened to our previous group. We know that your race has gotten interesting lately. Can you talk a little bit about how you are different from your opponent?
Well, I find it so fascinating that my race impact so many of the people in Seminole County. And it is about time to bring some transparency, ethics, and accessibility back to the office of the Seminole County Tax Collector's Office. I was a journalist for more than 35 years here and got to watch from a bird's eye view what was happening in Seminole County politics. I not only saw my immediate predecessor, Joel Greenberg, with his legal entanglements, child sex trafficking, pulling people over, pretending to be law enforcement, and all manner of just awful situations. And Seminole County has been embarrassed and has been stained with the most recent incumbent, but it's not been much better for the 25 years before that with Ray Valdez. They have lined their own pockets and feathered their own nest, and Seminole County deserves better than that. So I am bringing a fresh set of eyes to the budget and the books. I am not looking to, line my own pockets and offer my family and friends jobs in this office. And my opponent now, Jeffrey J.R. Kroll, has indicated he wants to join that old team. He wants to do exactly the same thing that we are completely tired of. So it is time now. You can smell it in the air in Seminole County. It is time. That's how impactful this groundswell of support is for putting new people in office that are respectful of the hardworking families and small business owners of Seminole County. That has been woefully lacking for now 3+ decades. So it's about time that we make a change. And when we talk about firsts, Pasha talked about being a first, Tracy talked about being a first. I would be the first Democrat in more than 50 years, but the first woman in the history of Seminole County to have this job, or I will be the first woman to have this job on November 3rd. So it's been a wild ride because of the prior incumbent. It has been a little different, of course, because of the pandemic. It's been a wild ride to be a candidate during a pandemic. But I have figured out a way with my everyday Facebook Live couch chats that I do to be accessible to the people of Seminole County. I do a 30-minute briefing, if you will, sitting on my couch, because that's how we have to talk to the people in Seminole County. No more rallies, no more house parties. We can't really go out and see people face to face, but I can give them access to me every single day. And that's what I do on my Facebook and Facebook Live and all across social media and that kind of thing. So it's been an exciting time, but you can feel it in the air that it's time. Seminole County is ready for a change.
Absolutely. And Lynn, the interesting thing about your race is how sensational it's gotten. And one thing that a tone that I don't always like to hear is like a joking tone about races. And I feel like, folks like to make a lot of jokes about your predecessor, as well as Donald Trump and blah, 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 this and that. But the truth of the matter is it's not funny because the constituents deserve better. Integrity matters. And we're hoping that, we'll see a blue wave, not only flipping the White House, but every seat further down. And, this theme of integrity matters really trickles down even to your race. And Seminole County certainly deserves better than what they've got.
Right. And it's not personal for me, Lauren. It's really about bringing that back to the hardworking people of the county.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about ethics or integrity, that's not personal. It's what we have observed and have suffered through for 30 years. And this is the year that we are going to make a difference for those, voters and just regular people in Seminole County. Want somebody there who can watch the money coming in and watch the money going out. It's an administrative job to be tax collector. I have over 100 employees come November. And I know, because I have managed $1 million budgets for nonprofits and I have managed my own budget down to the penny, I know that I can do what is needed in this job to bring that a good dose of common sense back to the office of Seminole County Tax Collector. And I can't wait to hit the ground running and get started.
Thank you so much, Lynn. We're really cheering for you.
Thank you.
So, Kay, I'd like to turn to you next to hear a little bit about your vision for Palm Bay. We've heard affordable housing come up as a topic time and time again while you've been on the campaign trail. Can you share with us your solution to this issue in your community?
Absolutely. And, it's so much is not only the, affordable housing as it, people sometimes have that misnomer that affordable houses versus low-income housing, and not realizing it is our teachers, our service workers, our city workers who are absolutely priced out of the market. And it's so important that we put measures in place. So my solution is looking at our zoning. Right now, the city of Palm Bay is only 38% built out. And so we are top heavy when it comes to residential versus our single family residential versus the multifamily. So we want to make sure we're looking at the zoning, increasing our multifamily zoning, as well as that missing middle, that townhome, condos, duplexes, triplexes, to give more housing options, because that is missing. And of course, the reality is that it's a countywide issue. So I'm saying that, the city of Palm Bay may have to just take the mantle and lead and making sure that our elected officials, like Sanjay coming out, will be able to look across the country for best practices. Because if we don't do something, it's going to cause our young people to keep leaving. It's going to cause our seniors to just not have a place to downsize if they choose. So therefore, it does require that collaboration. And I want to make sure that Palm Bay is really on the out front, leading the charge to address this issue.
Thank you, Kay. And I'd like to dive further into something that you did mention. Of course, we all here know that young people are the future. So what is your plan to retain young talent within your community?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a mom of a 17-year-old son who's heading off to college, and I often worry whether or not he'll come back. And his friends, they're all leaving, and most won't come back because, you know what, they don't feel like they have a tie here in the city. They feel that it is not, they can't grow economically, socially. There's no real job opportunities. But also our super talented young people just don't have a place to showcase their talents and skills. And that's what my platform says, is we're empowering our young people to focus on the arts, trade skills, entrepreneurship, making that a cornerstone of who we are as a city, and therefore helping them build their dreams, create those programs for them, giving them a seat at the table. Because right now it's as if, we kind of tell them what needs to happen, which isn't much, but they want to be a part of the solution. And they know the answers. They know what will work for them, especially when you think of the super talented young people who want to get into business. So in addition to creating that atmosphere, I want to ensure that we are creating a solid foundation here in the city for our small businesses, so they can actually see it happening, seeing our small business innovating and thriving, and know that there is indeed a future for them to have their business here. And again, I use the word collaboration, because we have to start looking at our big industries. We have to start looking at our tech industries and creating a space, again, where our young people can say, I'm a part of this solution, and I also can stay here, build my family here, and then continue that growth. And of course, teaming up with the collaboration, you put that again, our school system, it's so much more. And again, I put the county in there as well, because it is indeed a county issue, and we want to make sure that Brevard County, we're on the Space Coast, is that county where our young people or the talents and stuff will want to come to, instead of we sending them all over, we train and send them all over to other cities. So that's kind of my plan for that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your vision for the city. We are lucky and proud to call you a Democrat.
Thank you.
So speaking of Brevard County, I would like to bring up Sanjay Patel, running for Brevard County Commission. So Sanjay, you and your wife have been incredible leaders in your community for democratic values. Why do you believe that it's important for Brevard to elect a Democrat to County Commission?
First off, thank you so much, Lauren, for having us tonight. I think it's important to have a Democrat on the County Commission, because right now we've got a 5-member commission. All 5 members are Republicans. What that means is a good amount of our residents don't have any actual real representation on that commission. If you look at the numbers by themselves, Democrats make up nearly a third of Brevard County. If you add in the NPAs, the combination of the Democrats and the NPAs actually would be a majority. But because we have 5 Republican voices on a county commission, whose sole intent, it seems, to out-Republican one another, you have a lot of decisions that are made that are politicized and in the interests of one party. So here in Brevard County, for example, when we're trying to recover through COVID, our county commission wouldn't pass a mandatory mask mandate. They got marching orders from probably their governor, they're watching the president. And so single party rule really does a disservice to any community. And we're seeing the effects of that here in Brevard County, especially. So it's crucial that we get at least one, hopefully 2 or 3 voices on that county commission to truly represent the needs of the people of our county.
Thank you. And, I think that's an important dynamic to bring up, especially when it's so heavily Republican. It does create an interesting dynamic within elected officials. And I think that sometimes we see that in our state legislature too. So electing a Democrat would make a world of a difference. And of course, we would love to see that. Now, I know that there are a long list of issues that you'd like to address for your communities, but if you had to narrow it down, what are the 3 most important issues that you'd like to address as city commissioner or as county commissioner?
Absolutely. The top priority has to be our recovery from COVID. Right now, folks are struggling. We're seeing people terrified about how they're going to provide for their families, how school has already started here, and we're seeing classrooms already starting to get shut down based on quarantines. So first and foremost, we have to manage a recovery. That deals with the economic recovery as well as public safety, public health and safety. So Brevard got allocated $105 million in CARES Act funding from the federal government. We need to make sure that that money is given, distributed, allocated into our community to help those families who are struggling to pay for their rent or their mortgages or to put food on the table. We also have to get it into the hands of small businesses that are especially struggling right now. On top of that, we have to focus on public safety. Again, Brevard County did not have the courage to pass a mandatory mask mandate. And so what we saw instead were municipalities deciding to take that mantle up on their own. So this is one of the reasons we also have to have good Democrats elected at every level of government. I can't wait to work with Kay in Palm Bay. So that would be the top priority. The second thing has to be our Indian River Lagoon. We've got one of the most biodiverse estuaries in the entire world here in Brevard County. And we passed a half-cent sales tax back in 2016 to combat the decades of pollution and neglect that lagoon has been suffering through. So by the time I get elected to office, we'll be halfway through the proceeds of that half-cent sales tax. We need to make sure that the projects are expedited and we get the money in to fix up the lagoon. These include projects like muck removal, moving away from septic tanks to sewer. But the other important aspect of that is we have to make sure that we don't have things lead to what caused the pollution to start with. So we've got to talk about smart growth and repairing our broken infrastructure here in Brevard County. The third most important thing is we don't have real representation right now. We have individuals on that commission who kowtow to their cronies, their political donors, their allies. And so we need folks on the commission who have a vision where every resident, every small business, our natural environment can thrive here in Brevard County. And I know one of my colleagues mentioned that they've got a good old boys network. That is so true of Brevard County. And I am to make sure that there's going to be a good man elected to the Brevard County Commission and not another good old boy.
Thank you. I love that. That's a very powerful line. So lastly, I have a question for all 3 candidates, but Sanjay, let's start off with you first. What kind of support would be helpful for your campaign?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So right now, obviously, volunteer support would be incredible. We need folks to go canvass on doors, hop on phone banks and text banks. Given COVID, it's an interesting dynamic. So one thing is, in my district, there's only a disparity of about 4,000. There's only 4,000 more Republicans and Democrats. It's going to be a really tight race. And so what I'd love to do is more outreach to the NPAs. There's a good amount of them in my district. So that'll involve me doing mailers. And so what I'd love to do is get some funding so I can send some mailers out to the NPAs. And any contributions would be incredibly helpful. The other thing that would be really supportive is that every Democrat, you've got to vote every single seat on that ballot, not just the president. Because at the end of the day, if we get a Democrat elected to the presidency, which would be awesome, but we don't pick up any seats in the state house, the state senate, or even down to any municipality, we won't be able to make progress. We've got to get good Democrats elected at every level of government and just tell everyone you've got to vote the whole ballot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'll just ask a follow-up question, because there might be folks who are watching tonight who have never volunteered for a campaign, especially during COVID. Can you talk a little bit more about what exactly it is that your volunteers have been doing?
Sure. So one of the most important things we've been doing is making sure that all of our Democratic voters have a ballot in the mail. We know that that's going to be the most effective and safe method for our voters to vote. And so we want to make sure that they've got a request to get that mailed out. And the deadline, that's coming up in late October. So we want to make sure everyone gets them mailed out. So we have folks who are knocking on doors, and they do it safely. It's mandatory. They have a mask. They've got, alcohol sanitizer with them. They stand 6 feet from the door. In some cases, we're just having them drop literature on their doorstep, so they have an idea as to who are the Democrats on their ballot, and we want to make sure that they have them mailed out. In terms of phone banking, that's one of the most convenient things you can do from the comfort of your own home. You can sit on your couch and call voters and talk to them, let them know about the importance of that election, and get them signed up to get a mail ballot as well. And then finally, text banking is something that we're incorporating as well. And similarly, from the comfort of your home, sending out text to voters to let them know about the upcoming election, making sure that they get out to vote, because this really is the most important election of our lifetime.
I have
excellent. Thank you so much. Hey, same question for you. What kind of support would be helpful for your campaign?
We absolutely ask every single day for people to help us with postcards. I send it all in an enclosed packet with the postcards, the address labels, even if they want the stamps, that would be great. Or if they would like to donate the stamps, God bless you for doing that. I say that postcards and phone banking are two things that you can do for this campaign from your pajamas. These are things you can do in your home, and you do not have to go out. Now, when we do yard signs, I'd rather you weren't. We do contactless contact with drop off for literature, for yard signs, for road signs, for all of it. And I am also, when Sanjay said something very important just a moment ago, and I want to just revisit it really briefly, and that was that putting Democrats on the board at the foundation level is critical. I'm also in a county, all 5 constitutional officers and all 5 county commissioners are Republican. But the Democrats in this area in Seminole County have worked to almost even, it is less than 1,000 difference now in registered voters and a big bucket of no party affiliates. So if you can get some D's on the board, and this is the year to do it, this is going to change the community for the better. So please understand that it is very important. And I always tell people, don't just go here, find me all the way down. And I am literally all the way down the ballot. And I wanted to make sure that people understood that it is President and Congress and Florida Senate and Florida House. And finally, you'll get to the Seminole County races. All 5 constitutional officers are up this year, my race included, for tax collector. And I just want to make sure that what Sanjay said is so important. The foundation, the building blocks of making an appreciable difference for the voters and for the community happens at the local level. All politics is local, and we have got to get some D's on the board come November. And 56 days is not much time to do that. But I really need the volunteers, and we need people to go to the website and offer up their services, whatever they're comfortable doing. If they go to Moira2020.com or drop me an email, however they can get in touch with me, that's where we will put them to work in a job where they're comfortable.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And you are absolutely right. Every single race matters and every single vote matters. And this is why the FDP has really been leaning into voter protection, as well as our municipal victory program and programs like this, because we have an incredible amount of stellar Democrats across the state. And we are just so excited to highlight each and every one of you. Before we log off, Kay, I have the same question for you. What kind of support would be helpful for your campaign for mayor?
Yeah, we're also a history making here in Palm Bay, would be the first female elected to the dais. And so, of course, as with COVID-19, election is a little bit different. Campaigning is a little bit different. So volunteer definitely is that what we need to knock on the doors, as Sanjay said, and also to, just help spread the word. So if you know someone who live in the Palm Bay area, just let them know that K-Mirage is on the ballot. And we also have some great persons also doing in council as well. But volunteering, definitely one. And of course, everybody mentioned it, mailers. We want to make sure we're reaching as much people as possible. 22,000 NPAs in our area in Palm Bay. So we want to do everything to get to them. So every little bit counts. And so, my website, K for Palm Bay Mayor, you can go there and you can just, $5, $10. We're definitely grassroots here in Palm Bay. So any little bit counts. And also, if you can volunteer, please do. Anywhere, phone banking, text banking, anything. We are just excited to have you and know that we can keep this area in Palm Bay blue, but also we'll make sure that we are doing everything to make sure that our citizens are well represented and bringing transparency and accountability to the city of Palm Bay. And of course, the Good Old Boys Club, we're severing that for sure.
Great.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kay, Sanjay, and Lynn for joining us tonight. It was so great to see all of you. Very proud to have you on our team, and we're cheering for you guys all the way through to November.
Thank you so much for having us.
And thank you so much to everybody who tuned in tonight for our episode. As a reminder, these shows will be airing every evening, Tuesdays and Thursdays from now up until Election Day. So stay tuned to meet some more incredible Democrats. All right, everyone, we'll be sure to stay safe, and thanks so much for joining us tonight.